think we can share it.
Yes, yes. So
Okay.
we are live. Thank you very much for joining us. We are with Juan and Gerardo. Please let me know if I don't pronounce the names right. And I was going to do two things today. I think, with a band like yourself, it is worthwhile doing a bit of an overview of who you are, where you're from, what made you do the things that you do. And then since you're all in your studios, we can maybe talk about gear as well, So in the meantime,
Yeah,
while
for
we
sure.
do that, just to introduce Vinnum Sabbathi from Mexico and Mexico City, yeah? You're in Mexico
Yeah.
City?
Yes.
How long have you guys been going?
Like 8 years.
I'll tell you
Yeah,
why.
maybe 8 years. I mean, the band started. Juan started the band first. I think it was 2011, something like that. I think that's when Juan started the project. But maybe he can talk more about how it started.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was late or no early to 2011 when I just entered university, and at that time I was playing covers with some friends, and by that time I started to listen more heavy music, and that's when I came with the idea to maybe make something by my own. And I made a demo by myself, just recording with shitty mics and everything very DIY. And later on, but by that time I played with a band called Bloodwitch with Samuel, which is the bassist of Vinnum Sabbathi. And in one of those shows with Bloodwitch, we met Gerardo and Fausto. They play in a band called Bar de Monjas. And later on, we say, hey, we need a drummer. If you're up to, will be cool to make some jams. And that's how it started.
So Gerardo is the drummer.
Yeah.
And you're the guitarist. And
yes.
We're missing someone then, yeah?
So there is also
you're missing a bassist here.
Yeah, we're missing Sam, which is the bass player, and actually, like all his stuff, all his gear is here with me. And Roman, who is Juan's brother, and he plays the synths and puts the samples when we are playing live. So yeah, we're missing actually half of the band here.
Well, I was thinking about that because you put a lot of these kind of pre-recorded stuff in there, so somebody's dedicated doing that to get the timing right. I'm assuming, and I'm assuming you guys need to be fairly good in your timings to make sure that certain things fit together.
That's why Roman it's like very important when we do live, because we cannot like program the whole thing of a song for the samplers, because we play at different times live that we do in studio.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm quickly going to share my screen so that I can just show the audience some of your pages before we carry on. This will take like 1 second. So one of the things I've noticed, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you're pretty well on social media. You've got a good presence on Instagram, on Bandcamp, on Facebook, and on YouTube, including some of these kind of curators that like Mr. Doom and so on, who've got your songs and your videos up. But I couldn't find a website. Am I right? You don't have a website.
Sorry,
You don't have a website.
No, I think we use Bandcamp as our website.
Yeah. Okay. No, it's just if you do, if that's what you've got, that's what. But you're pretty much well organized with all the social media channels. So let us do the following. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just go through the basic questions, and then I want to talk a bit about gear as well, because I think that would be quite interesting. So I already kind of asked you when you started. It was we've basically covered that already, and how you started. The question sometimes is, why did you start? Is it, I know why I started playing guitar, because I actually was listening to things like Nirvana and all that at the time, and I just liked the sound of a distorted guitar. It was more important to me than the music. You know what I mean? That kind of got me playing. And once I started playing guitar, I actually started joining bands and stuff like that. But actually, it was that sound of an amp struggling that got me to play guitar and started this whole process. What was your kind of main things that got you going to want to play in a band? Was it stardom? Was it making music? You know.
Well, what I can say is that well, first I arrived to the project like maybe 1 or 2 years after it started with Juan and Sam. But I remember when I was with when I had the first ever chat with Roman, because I remember Roman was the one who said, "Oh, do you want to play in a doom band?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course. I mean, I love doom music and I love playing doom." And there were not many bands in Mexico that would play doom, so I was like, "Well, yeah, this sounds good to me." And then I remember I started going with Juan and Roman to their place, and we started jamming, and it was so cool. Then it was not only about playing music; it was about also having a good time with them. And I remember talking to Roman about like, "Oh, have you heard this Nebula record? Do you know Dozer? Do you know?" So it was like really nice thing having people that listen to the same music as you did, because while I was, studying, no one was listening to this music in Mexico. It was very strange. So it was also not just the music, but the nice talks and the feel of like having friends to say like, "Oh man, I've heard this record and it's insane. I want to do something like that." So for me, that's a very important part too. Having mates and
Camaraderie.
yeah, exactly. So I think for at least for me, that's a very important part. Like having friends around that have things in common, and you can have a good time with them.
Mm. Okay, because to me, most of the guys that play in metal bands and anything like that, I think that is their kind of main goal, isn't it? Their main focus is to be with like-minded people. So, over the years has the doom and stoner scene grown in Mexico?
Yeah, I think mostly I will say like the last 2-3 years has been growing a lot. Just earlier this year, before all this stuff happened, we had like the first Doom proper like Doom festival, the Doom Fest. So that was like a very big success in terms of the scene and what's happening, because there was now a festival, like a proper festival for this kind of music. And yeah, it has been growing. When we started, probably there were like only a few doom bands, and now it's a lot more. So yeah, it's growing.
Very cool. Oh, look, we've got one viewer up called Steve. I've been speaking to him. We're going to be doing some stuff about he's a pedal builder. They do a lot of pedals and stuff based on vacuum tubes. Really cool stuff. Hello, Steve. Okay, next question then. Okay, we know where you're based. You're based in Mexico City. I'm just going through the questions here, and sometimes some of the questions are just answered during the course of the conversation, so I'll just skip them as they've been answered. Other than doom, what kind of genres of music do you listen to as well? What kind of, what's your musical kind of tastes and backgrounds?
Anything that sounds good. At least for me, it's not that. Well, to be fair, maybe 5 years back, I was really hypnotized by just listening to doom and stoner bands. But then, like now, I have realized my ears are not into listening that thing all the time in a constant loop. So I've been listening to some really cool stuff that I really dig. I mean, of course I like doom, and of course I like stoner, post metal, but sometimes I also like listening to stuff that is not as heavy. I don't know, blues. I'm a big blues fan. I listen a lot to like 70s, 60s rock. Also, I have been listening to this sort of like folk bluesy thing. It's a girl called Kat Clyde, I think, from Canada, and she's awesome. She plays guitar so well, and she sings very well. So yeah, I'm not listening to a single thing. It varies very, very much with the moment that I am feeling and how am I feeling. As I said, like I like blues, I like folk sometimes. I don't like anymore being in a single bubble of music. So it's very varied, I think.
Yeah. Juan, what about you?
Yeah, I think I share a little bit of that. I don't nowadays. I don't just listen to one kind of music. It depends what I'm doing, what I'm thinking of. So, and obviously, I also love stoner and doom, but I'm also a huge Creedence Clearwater Revival fan. I listen a lot of space rock, like Luz and Yuri Gagarin, all these kind of bands, and also metal. I now that I'm remember, I started being a metalhead, and I recently have been listening a lot of Slayer and Megadeth. So yeah, it depends.
It's funny you mentioned Yuri Gagarin, because it was actually yourselves, Yuri Gagarin, that got me into this kind of doomy, space stoner stuff. Literally, not kidding. There was no, the first doom type band I heard was actually Conan. And I started a band up with friends that I've been with, and I wanted it to be a 3-piece. And I started playing around with some slow, heavy riffs. And the bassist said to me, "Oh, it sounds a bit like Vinnum Sabbathi, right? They're from Italy." So I, Google, and I think I found the wrong band. You know what I mean? Because I think he might have known a band in Italy with the same name or something. Anyway, I found you guys by pure mistake, and I was like, "What the fuck's this?" Okay, this is good. So it kind of sculpted where I was trying to go with the last album. With I wanted to be a little bit more melodic, a little bit more doomy, etc., etc. So it was a kind of a weird mistake finding you guys through, I think, finding the wrong band when somebody was meeting a different one. So anyway, there you go. That's the story. I actually got to know you guys. And then there was another one at the same time I found, which was Book of Worms, they've got a female singer, which I really liked. That really kind of more typical stoner stuff, but with this female voice singing over it, you know, which was really interesting, which I hope to get onto this series as well. They're really interesting. Okay, next question. What is in the pipeline? Now, I know you had a big tour, European tour and everything organized, and that's all kind of like sadly not happening. So with that in mind, what's next? Are you writing? Are you just planning to move it all to next year, or what's the plan? Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I think I will guess doing what we have planned for this year and start redoing everything as soon as we can, because we haven't even seen each other like for 2 months now. So yeah, start rehearsing and planning the tour again.
I guess that you could see a very straight answer. It just straight after you asked us, like that question was like, what are we going to do? We have no idea. Like, we had so many plans for this year and none of it happened. And yeah, as Juan said, we haven't seen each other, so it's not like we have huge plans, to be fair. Like, we know that we have an album out and we would like to do like a release party, but other than that, is like, let's just how this time goes, and let's see what we can do about it. We have to wait, I think.
Do you know in Mexico roughly what the plan is with easing down on all this until you can maybe, you know, get going again? And do you have any idea? Is there any kind of guidance from the government to say, okay, you know, when can people start jamming again? When might there be possibility of doing a live show? No idea. Did you hear what I said?
Well, we have no idea. Yeah. Of course. Like, when will the activities restart again? Especially, I guess, like gigs and stuff. But I think it's another thing that we are not really sure what's going on here. We know that things are, things are going to be back to normal, but very, very slowly, through like steps. I know the governments are putting like really weird, I don't know, measurements, because like we are in a peak of like the disease and the of the people that have the disease. So, and at the same time they want to reopen stores and stuff. So it's really weird. No one really knows what's really going on. We don't know.
Wow. Okay. So from a band perspective, is there anything else you want to talk about? If there isn't, what I'll do is you guys tell me what I want to play a wee piece of one of your songs or one of your videos, just to give those who don't know you some idea of what you guys do before we get into the gear side of things. Is there any kind of track that you would suggest is the one that you might think is a good introduction?
I mean, for video, the first track for the album is like a real video we made, In Search of M Theory. So that could be it.
In Search of, I'm just quickly going through. There's a live one here, In Search of, oh, this one. Oh, I've got it. In Search of M Theory, yeah?
That one.
Okay, let me just put this on. Okay, so I'm just going to play a bit of this, give people an idea. Can you hear that?
No.
Okay, let me just remove this and start it again. When I first did the screen sharing, I didn't switch the audio on. Just give me one. Right. We'll try again. Can you hear the audio now?
Yeah,
Yes.
Awesome.
I can hear it.
For most of human history, we could only watch, like bystanders, the beautiful dance of nature. But today we are on the cusp of an epoch-making transition, from being passive observers to being active choreographers of nature. Revolutions in our understanding of mind, life, and matter have opened the door to the human species in the last century. Quantum computers, extended lifespan, robot automatons, machines the size of molecules, ionic rocket engines. These are just some of the achievements that have led us to be a truly planetary force. Welcome to the world of tomorrow, today. Welcome to the age of mastery.
Now, I know that this is not going to come across the stream as well from audio-wise. It's going to be a little bit like not perfectly clear, but I wanted to have people just to have an idea of, from a gear point of view, of kind of associate the two things, you know, what they heard and what we're going to be talking about. So where do we start with gear? Should we start with drums or guitar?
I feel like maybe guitar, because I don't really know what I'm gonna say, so I'd like to think.
Well, I do want to add that I was reading on your Bandcamp that everything was recorded live, except for adding. So
The samples. Well, that's with the split. The split we did with the series, the Hex series that we make for split collaborations. The tracks, the songs are recorded in a single take, and we just add the samples later.
But that's for everything you've done so far.
I mean, yeah. For the album, we recorded everything also together, but then I added a second guitar tracks later on, and samples and synths later on. But yeah, basically, we for their songs, we gather together and we record together.
And who did the recording?
For the album and also for the split, we went to Testa Studio, which is a really cool studio in León, up in the north, a little bit in Mexico, and it's owned by Cabe, a good friend Cabe, which is like this madman that lives. That's his cave, and he lives there, and he's a really mastermind of his craft. He knows a lot how he's going to record you depending on the sound you want to get. So he helped us a lot on this album to get the best sound with having heads.
So let's talk about your gear then.
Okay. Well, for a start, I don't have a guitar because the guitar that I play is Sam's guitar. I actually don't have a guitar with me because
Juan, can I quickly stop you? I'm quickly going to put one of the comments up. Somebody's asking if the studio is full analog or
not. Yes, it has the capability of going full analog on tape. You can record directly on tape, but you can also record everything digital. And we have recorded on both, if I'm not wrong, Gerardo. I think.
Yeah, I think we have recorded.
For the split with Ceguera, we recorded analog.
Yeah, I think that one is completely analog. Yes.
Yeah, and
not sure.
But the album is digital. It's completely digital.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's just that if people start asking questions, I'd like to keep up with them. Otherwise, we might lose some. Anyway, you were talking about the guitar. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so I've been using an Epiphone SG like since day one, and mine broke sadly like 3 years ago, and Sam, the bass player, had another one. So I've been using his guitar for years now, and but I don't have it here. It's at his house, so that's my guitar, and everything on it is stock. It doesn't have any changes, and that's the one I use also for every recording so far.
What about amps?
Well, in terms of amps, I've been using Sun for also since day one, because Sun amps are here at least are really cheap, and you can find them quite easily, and they're really easy to fix, and you can throw them in to go on tour. You have it on public transport, and they're battle amps. So I mean, for live stuff, for previous recordings, I've been using between the concert lead and the concert bass. And for the album and shows, like since last year, I've been using the beta lead, and I love that amp. It's my main amp. It's really great, and I recently got the tube heads, the bulb heads, but I still have to fix those to use them. But yeah, mostly or totally Sun stuff. Just for recording this album, I use the beta lead, but I also use for the second guitars tracking. Use a Fender, a Twin River, Blackface, if I'm not wrong, and that's from Testa Studio. He owns that amp.
And do you use the Sun's clean channel and then drive it, or do you use pedal wise? How do you choose your drive?
Yeah, well, I don't know. These are like the Mexican made ones. I haven't tried the US versions, but for these ones, the distortion is really not that cool. It's just like a clean boost. So yeah. I use them all the way clean. The beta lead is the only one that has really good distortion, and I use it as a drive for the recording. But yeah, the amps serve mostly as pedal platforms, and I get all the drive from my pedals.
What pedals do you use?
So this is my pedal board.
Oh, there you go.
So it starts with the wah, which is like, the cheapest wah I could find, which is kind of broken now. I need to replace this, but it's a box. The cheapest box, I don't know the model. and from there it goes to this pedal that I made. It's a DOD 250. It's just overdrive.
Yeah.
But this one has germanium diodes on the clipping, so it's a little bit softer. I use this just as a drive. This is always engaged, and this is like my clean tone with this. And for fuzz, I use this, which I also made. This is a Big Muff style pedal with just a booster in the input section. It's based on the Musket FUZZ. I don't know if you have heard of that. I don't remember the brand, but yeah, I also made this one, and that's it. These two are my fuzz sound.
Yeah.
And from there it goes to the D7 from Ibanez, and this I got for really cheap. And man, it's a really great delay. I recently bought another one because they're great. I don't need anything else. And from there, when we play live and also in a couple of songs, I use like drone sounds, and I do that with the freeze.
Yeah.
I also got this one really cheap. Yeah, and it's a really good pedal. But when I got it annoyed me, the volume thing, because you don't you can't stop like playing to turn it on and off. So I replaced that. I put it like a 1/4-inch jack, and I used this Muff. This is the EP3, I think. So I use this like the volume pots instead of this. I use this for the foot operation.
Very clever.
Yeah.
Very
Just
clever.
for like well, so that's it. And I use this like between songs just to make ambient sounds. And when the next song hits, I just put it down.
The freeze, the freeze, as far as I know, it takes a momentary freeze. It's not really a looper pedal. It takes the last note and it kind of just continues it, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's it.
Well,
and that's it basically for me.
Very good, very good. Drum wise, what do you go for? I know it sounds difficult to talk about it, but some of the other bands I've spoken to, they actually made some serious consideration on the drums. For example, one of them wanted a really low tuned drum set and kind of quite high fizzing cymbals, for example, to have that distinction between the drums. So it's just, is there any considerations that you've put together with your drums? I think you're muted.
Yeah, I do that all the time when I am talking with friends and stuff, so it doesn't surprise me. I always mute my mic. But anyways, I'll show you my drum kit. It's no big science. I love it. It's great. I got it for a very cheap price as well. I think most of the gear that Vinnum has in general, we have, paid for all of our gear for like ridiculous prices, like really cheap, because it's people that they don't want their instruments anymore, or whatever reason they need to get rid of them. So we take them, and this drum kit was one of those deals. Let me see if I can. So is that one? You cannot, as you can see, the bass drum is like monstrous. So for start, it's a Gretsch Catalina Club Rock, and the measurements, this one is 26, which is a really wide bass drum. It's based on the John Bonham's drum kit, Led Zeppelin, and the sound is like very thick. Probably the best the best way I can say for you, if you want to get a picture of how this bass drum sounds, is probably listen to the drums at the start on When the Levee Breaks of Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
That's a very good picture of how the bass drum sounds. And then we have this one, which is a 13 air tom, and then that one there, it's 18 floor tom. Both as well, as you said, I really like them really low because I just like the low sound of the drums. And when playing with Vinnum, there is a song which is called Gravity Waves from our album Gravity Works, and there is a part on which we go like dum dum dum. Sorry, that sounds stupid, but honestly, I love the way the toms and the low end of the toms interact with the guitars and the bass, and yeah, and cymbals. So again, as you said, this one here, it's a AA Sabian 22-inch metal ride. And then on the other side, I have this one is actually not mine. This one is Sam's, the bass player. And it's another ride. This one is a Mexican brand. It's called All. Really good cymbals, really cheap as well. And the sound is insane. And yeah, I like having two rides. The reason to that is because I don't like the high pitch of like crash cymbals, especially because I am crashing this all the time, and that could be tedious if you're listening to a band live and they are hitting the crash all the time. So when you hit, the ride as if it was a crash, it's not as tedious as if you were doing it with a crash. So I love doing that, and that's why I like having these two monstrous cymbals. And I don't actually have a crash. I don't like them. And for this is probably my favorite part of the drum kit is custom special dry K Sildian. Bought this like maybe 15 years ago or something, and they are still alive. I just can't believe it. And the sound is just like great. It's just like thick and dry. And I mean, I love them. If you have a chance, I don't know if they're still making them, but if you have a chance and you want some really good hi-hats, this is the good option. And to close, I need to show you this because this is I think I got this even before I started with Vinnum, and this is my snare, and I love it. It's a Yamaha Oak Custom 14, I think it's 14 by 6.5 inches, and it's just great. It's just thick, and it has a very warm sound that goes very well with Vinnum sound. And I got it with a friend. He's actually another drummer. The Dealers was his band. He was sort of like a guru for me when I started playing drums, and he sold me this snare for a really cheap price, probably like $100 when it actually costs like, I don't know, maybe 500 maybe. So yeah, his name is Dan. And well, one thing more that I'd like to say, if Juan allows me. So what this, probably you should talk about this a little bit, Juan. So this is like our practice space. We don't have just one practice space. We have like several. One is here in my place, another is at Juan's place. But that one is a guitar cab that Juan crafted for me because I also play guitar and I love it. It's just, if I ever need to buy a guitar cab again, it's gonna be with Juan all the time, all the day, every day, every year. here. He's just like the best capsule on earth for me, and that's it.
So what is it loaded with? What speakers are in it?
I think it's I don't know. Juan could tell you better than I do, actually.
So that cap is actually the first cap I built, like 2013, something like that, and it has Celestion's G1275.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I think that.
So it does show that every kind of doomstonery type band I've spoken to, the drum sets are completely different from the norm. They all have bigger bass drums. They make completely different decisions on the kind of cymbals. You're not the first one who uses two rides rather than a ride and a crash.
Yeah.
You know, the whole decision making behind the drum set does seem to be fairly different from the usual kind of setup. Man, brilliant.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the drummer. I mean, as the stuff that we play is like very slow and sometimes very chilled and stuff. I don't think we really need like the high pitch of a crash. And I love the way it interacts, having two like rides, and it's more like it's just like the high pitch of the crash. I don't think it goes along very well with Vinnum Sabbathi. So,
Yeah.
But some other bands, like, I don't know, like High on Fire, for example, their crashes are just like very, very bright. And that's something really important for the sound of the band, I guess. So for Vinnum, it's just like, these two are perfect.
Do you have any idea of the bassist you?
Yeah, I have his, so, okay, I'm gonna show you. Let's pretend I am Sam. My name is Sam. I am the bass player.
Oh, Sam.
So that one is the rig of Sam. It's let me see. Yeah, have a look at this. Wow. So that one, it's a Sun concert bass, and that's what Sammy uses. And then this is the speaker, which is a 1x15 speaker. And then his bass, I really like his bass, actually. I'm quite happy that I'm keeping this with me at the time. So that one is his bass. And it's a Fender precision bass. It sounds really good. I really love it. I mean, I wish Sam was here, but it's kind of difficult to see the guys. So
Yeah, it's a shame. Does he use any pedals?
I don't know. Maybe Juan has a better. I don't know. Can tell maybe better than I do about like pedals that Sam uses. I think he uses a big muff, or I can't remember. Juan, I think your mic is muted. Your mic is not working. No.
You're somehow muted. I'm trying to unmute you from this side, but it's not working. He's gone. Time to come back in.
Yeah, well, I don't think Sammy. What I'm aware Sammy uses is a bass wah pedal. So if you actually listen to some of Vinnum's stuff, like you will notice, it's very, very evident whenever he turns on the wah, and it's a incredible spacey sound whenever he uses the wah. Sort of like I don't know if you know Church of Misery.
No, I don't think I do.
well, it's a really good Japanese band, and they are using a bass wah all the time, and yeah, it adds a lot to Vinnum Sabbathi, because it's a very, very spacey sound. And whenever Juan is playing a riff and it comes in, it's just like really nice. There are some songs from our new album that you will notice is very, very evident. And then, yeah, that's all about it. I think what I can say, I probably, when Juan arrives, we can ask him a little bit more about pedals. But maybe now that I'm here, and maybe while we wait for Juan, I can show you this. I think Juan is here already.
Yeah, I think he had some issues there. I think he's trying to come back in.
All right, I'm gonna. Well, he come here. Actually, I'm gonna say hi to Roman. Roman. So what I'm gonna show you is this. This is the gear from Roman, actually, and it's what he used for recording the album. Oh. It's a really, really good case, soft case. So yeah, that one.
Okay.
It's big.
That's massive.
Yeah, massive. I wish I could talk you. I wish I could talk you through what he does or something, but I have no idea what this thing does.
I do.
All right, you talk about it, Juan.
Yeah, so you got the Sam stuff.
I just told about the bass wah, which is my favorite bass pedal, but I think that was it.
Yeah, so Sam uses the precision bass. Is a Japanese precision bass. I don't know if it's 90s or something like that. That also, again, Sam got for really, really cheap in a street market. And from there it goes to the bass wah, like the white bass wah, and then the boss, the orange, the yellow pedal. I think is the bass overdrive, ODB3 or something like that, and that's it. I think, yes. And from there it goes to the Sun and to the 15-inch speakers. And for Roman, he uses the Moog, the Sub-Fatty, and just for he started using it on this record. And for the samples, he uses the Jam Man. I think he commented on that.
Yeah, can we get him in? Is he like available? He just needs that link if he wants to come in. It's not a problem.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Let me ask him. So yeah, basically, I think that's it. That's our gear.
Awesome, very cool. Well, while you talk to Roman and see if he wants to come in, I need to tell you a story. When you guys were talking about your European tour, right? I remember I was speaking to you on Facebook ages ago, and I said if you guys need any help to come to Glasgow and stuff like that, let me know. And the reason was I was desperate for you guys to come to Glasgow. And one of the reasons is Scotland is a very different place to most places. It's an extremely welcoming, open, and easygoing place. And I'll give you an example. So Donald Trump has got two golf courses, right? One on the north side of Scotland and one just down the road from us, about an hour's drive. And and he pissed off the Scots big time when he was building them. So basically, Scotland is famous for hating Trump before anybody else, and so much so that
Yes.
when he was trying to become president, after he became president, he was landing down there and he went to play golf at his golf course, and the golf course is quite close to a suburb, and everybody in the suburb put Mexican flags up in their front gardens for their motorcade to go by. Just like a fuck you.
Yeah.
So that's what you can expect. Super easygoing, friendly folks. So man, I really hope you make it here. I really do. Other than that,
I remember. Yeah, I remember. You know, my best friend is actually one of my best friends is actually Scottish. His name is Tom. The guys already know him. Every time we play in London, he hosts us.
Oh,
so
good.
He's a really cool guy and really chilled, really laid back. And he's, you know, he has told me like some stories about like Scotland, and yeah, you guys seem to be really different to like English, and it appears, you know, like there's sometimes like that kind of like clash between Scots and British and English people.
There is, but that's not serious. It's more just banter. It's not serious. It's more kind of like friendly rivalry. It's not ugly. It's not serious. So thankfully. But yeah. Anyway,
but what I can say about Scotland is that we played. I think the name of the venue in Edinburgh was Bannerman's, no?
Bannerman's. Okay, yeah.
Yes, Bannerman's.
And I remember it was absolutely crazy. Probably from the UK was one of the best gigs we had, because like it was in the first song, literally the first song that we played, like everyone went nuts. Like they started like headbanging as if it was the end of the world. It was insane. I will always have that picture of like on the front row there was some girls, and they were all like going nuts, man. Like I've never seen something like that before. I will always have that picture in my mind about like Edinburgh. It was like insane. So I really wish we can make it back to Scotland.
Yeah, Scotland is Glasgow and Edinburgh is absolutely amazing for live music of any kind. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just perfect. So yeah. So guys, from me, I'm happy. That's everything. If there's anything else you want to add, please feel free.
Yeah, well, a little bit of promotion. We were supposed to be on tour supporting 4 releases that we are having on vinyl with European labels. Our album of Dimensions and Theories is up for the second run on vinyl via Stolen Body Records from Bristol. We also have a live session we did here in Mexico City. A label from Poland called Interstellar Smoke Records put that on vinyl as well. And we also have a split with the band Comacozer from Australia, and that's also on vinyl via Salad Records, which are based in Romania. And there are also copies from the Gravity Works or a previous album up from Ein Downside Records, a German label. So if you are up for that, consider grabbing a vinyl and support the labels. We will have some in Mexico, but for everyone else outside Mexico, consider buying one and supporting the labels and the band. And I think that's it.
Yeah, this is very important to me. I really want to make sure that bands are promoted and supported with anything I do, because that's really why we do it. It's really why we do it at the end of the day. So as much self-promotion as you want to do, please feel free. So if you guys have some time, put together a little bit of text with where all this stuff can be bought and stuff, and just send it to me, and I'll add it to the description underneath so that it's there for longevity. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So honestly, from my side, I don't have any more questions. I really thank you for your time. I'm very happy you guys could join me. It was pretty cool. And stay in touch, and all the best. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for inviting us. And yeah, we love doing this stuff. So whenever you need us, like, we'll be here anytime. And
Cool.
thank you.
Coolest, man.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna end this broadcast, but this will still be up.